So CNN is suing Trump in the White House for banning Jim Acosta from the press conferences. They revoked his hard pass, the thing that allows him to participate in asking questions during press conferences. This is a case they are most certainly going to lose because they have no case for this at all. For several, now I'm not a law expert, but even I can see, like, I've only read 2 or 3 law books, but even I can say, hey, they have no case for this at all. So if you don't know what actually happened, Jim Acosta was being how he always is, asking a ton of questions and repeating and all that stuff, and his time was over. And it's like, okay, hand the mic to the next person to answer the next question, or to ask the next question. And he was like, no, I'm keeping this, and he kept asking the question, and an aide walked up to, like, a member of the White House, went to take the mic from him, and he instinctively, like, not pushed her back, but stopped her from taking the mic. Now, people have been calling this assault, or I don't know the exact word for it, but they've been saying, like, oh, he attacked this woman, he assaulted this woman. That's definitely not what happened. He did not assault this woman at all. He lightly pushed her back. He lightly pushed her arm so she couldn't take the mic. So he did not assault her at all. But what he did do is he was disrupting. You can call that disrupting for asking, a third question when, like, it's if you don't like it, too bad. That's something where he's known, like, if you've heard of him before, he's been in the news all the time for just being annoying, for just asking obnoxious questions. There was something a year back of Stephen Miller was doing a White House press briefing, and Acosta asked this super dumb question, and Stephen Miller left him completely speechless, which now people were calling him a white supremacist, a Nazi guy, because apparently a Jewish Stephen Miller is part of the White House and therefore Nazi. I don't get that at all. Or I should say, I get why they're saying it, but it's wrong. but see, yeah, they're suing him for blocking his press pass, and there's a few things to understand here. One, obviously, there's 2 questions that we have to separate. The one, was it the right thing to do? Was it a good thing to do? And 2, did he actually have the right to do that? And was it a good thing to do? I mean, honestly, I'll tackle this first because it's the shortest one. But I think this is perfectly within his right. It's not anything that is a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that he barred Jim Acosta. Certainly, it would be a bad thing if Trump said, okay, everyone that isn't InfoWars, Breitbart, and Fox are banned from the White House press briefings and all that. They are no longer allowed to have a press pass. Now, certainly, yeah, that would be a scary thing. Oh, okay, so he's putting himself in an echo chamber where they're only going to ask questions that make him seem good. Obviously, yeah, that'd be a bad thing. But what he's doing is after 2 years, he's now revoking Jim Acosta's pass for something that I would say is reasonably justified. And it's CNN has it's in the article here that I'll go through in a second, but CNN has like 50 other people, and like a ton of this is not like CNN is being blocked from the White House. They have tons of other people. This is just one person, and of course, Jim Acosta is only in the news when he talks about himself. Like, the only stories that he has actually broken is his own things that have happened in the White House. So he's not exactly the best journalist. It's fine. Like, I don't see an issue I don't see why this is such a tyrannical thing. People are saying, oh my God, he asked tough questions, so he's being banned. No, he was being disruptive. He was being annoying. And the fact that Trump has said all these bad things about the fake news media and he's still letting them in he hasn't taken any steps. This is the first noticeable, the first newsworthy step I've seen of him actually blocking someone that he disagrees with from the press briefings. So yeah, I have no issue with this at all. There are plenty of other people, especially still CNN is still here. So he hates CNN. Lots of people on the right hate CNN, and they still have press access, which I'm not saying it should be revoked, but they still have press access. So this is not some kind of major crisis that he's blocking people. But now on to whether or not they actually have the right to sue. So they are suing on First Amendment and Fifth Amendment backgrounds. Right here. The suit alleges that Acosta and CNN's First and Fifth Amendment rights are being violated by the man, which they're not. The First Amendment, obviously the right to free speech. You don't have a right to free speech in someone else's house or someone. Sure, it's a public forum. I get that. It's a public forum. But if we're going to say his right to free speech is being violated because he is being blocked, then why can't we say that, every single person, every single citizen of the U.S. is having their First Amendment being blocked because they do not have a hard pass. I mean, sure, if we were to go with this and say Jim Acosta has the right to be here on First Amendment grounds, then we can say every group, every actual what CNN would view as illegitimate fake news propaganda outlet would have the right to be here. So this is not something that people have a right to do. It's like you have a right to free speech, but you don't have a right to this specific platform. Now, if Trump were to say, hey, we're going to silence CNN by using government action to shut them down, sure, that's a First Amendment violation. It is not a violation to bar someone from a privileged position like this. Now, of course, the White House did have an official response. This is from Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. We have been advised that CNN has filed a complaint challenging the suspension of Jim Acosta's hard pass. This is just more grandstanding, and we will vigorously defend against the lawsuit. CNN, here we go, who has nearly 50 additional hard pass holders, so nearly 50, 48, 40, I don't know, but nearly 50 additional hard pass holders. And Mr. Acosta is no more or less special than any other media outlet or reporter with respect to the First Amendment. After Mr. Acosta asked the president 2 questions, each of which the president answered, and now I get it, did he actually fully answer the questions? That's debatable, but that's really irrelevant to this point. He physically refused to surrender a White House microphone to an intern so that other reporters might ask their questions. That is true. This was not the first time this reporter has inappropriately refused to yield to other reporters. That is also true. The White House cannot run an orderly and fair press conference when a reporter acts this way, which is neither appropriate nor professional. The First Amendment is not served when a single reporter or more than 150 present attempts to monopolize the floor. If there is no check on this type of behavior, it impedes the ability of the president, the White House staff, and members of the media to conduct business. I'm fine with this. Because remember, name one other White House reporter. Not too many people can actually name another White House reporter. Everyone knows Jim Acosta because he gets in the news every time he disrupts and causes problems and is annoying. And it's I get it. You want to ask tough questions. I get that. I have nothing against that. Asking the tough questions, asking the questions that the guy does not want to hear, you want to ask those. But you can do it without being obnoxious, monopolizing the floor like they said he did, and it's annoying. He is not contributing anything. Now again, I want to address that quickly. There are people saying, there was a doctored video put out. That's the new thing, a doctored video of Jim Acosta not hitting the woman, but blocking the mic. They're saying it's all doctored because if you're not sure of the actual video, what happened was Paul Joseph Watson, a guy at InfoWars, who I will fully concede, I do like the guy. I don't agree with him on everything, but I think he's a nice guy. Does some good work. He took the video, he took the actual unedited video, zoomed into the part that was relevant, cut out the 50 other people in the frame that was irrelevant, and apparently they're saying it was sped up slightly. Now, it looks like there might have been 1 or 2 repeated frames because if you compare them side by side, there is an ever so slight difference. And Washington Post did this. Washington Post, on their reporting of the thing, had both videos side by side. It's something where if you say, look, there were 1 or 2 more frames added, and if you watch it 8 or 9 times, you might see it. You might actually see, hey, that is a thing that could happen. But what happened was he converted the video. Otherwise, there's no noticeable difference. This is something where if 2 people watched, or if a person watched both videos and were never told they were different, they would say, yeah, they're the same video. And of course, what he did was he converted the video to a GIF format. So they were saying it's doctored because he took out the audio, but that's what happens when you post a GIF. It is an image file, not a video file. And sure, when you're manipulating videos like that, and manipulating sounds bad, when you're changing videos, when you're editing them to what you want, cropping them like that, sure, if you do it enough times, you might get a 1 or 2 repeated frames like that. If you convert to a different file format, which is what they did, you might get 1 or 2 repeated frames. I'm not a video expert, but I believe that's the truth. Someone can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true. That you can get little errors like that. But yeah, basically, it wasn't doctored in any meaningful way. Was it modified? Yes. But the point of being doctored is that something was modified with the intent to deceive, which I see no evidence of at all. But that was a huge other thing. But yeah, so they're suing the White House on Fifth Amendment grounds of due process, which, again, I'm not a lawyer. I am not a law student. I'm no expert on law besides 2 or 3 law books I've read. But this doesn't count. Fifth Amendment grounds does not count. Due process, I mean, it's something that, sure, in daily life, should we actually like apply due process in an informal way? Sure, in which you could say we did. There's a video of what happened. There's no more accusations besides what happened in the video. But does he deserve to be seen in front of like a court? Can he challenge this in court? Like, no, because he's not being prosecuted. He's not being criminally charged with anything. He is not being charged with anything. He has had his press pass revoked. The Fifth Amendment, in terms of a formal due process from a legal perspective, again, I'm not a law expert. I want people to know that. So this is how I believe, or I'm pretty sure things are. But again, I could be wrong. Listen to an expert. But I'm pretty sure there's no grounds for this because, again, it's not a court of law. That he's not being charged with anything, so due process does not count. It's like if the president says, you're stupid, that you can't sue on due process grounds because, there was no court to determine whether this guy's really stupid or not. And it's like, no, it's just an insult. He had his press pass revoked because he's not being charged. He's just having a privilege revoked. If you are being actively charged with something, that means they are planning to violate your rights. They're planning to take away your rights. Because you have done something illegal, they're planning to charge you, to fine you, to throw you in jail, something like that. The reason you need due process is because you are having your rights violated, and they need to make sure that it's justified. That it's justified that we can violate your rights because you did something awful. You violated someone else's rights. It's not. There are no rights being violated here. Nobody has a right to a privileged position like this. But that's how I interpret it. At least, again, I'm saying it as to the best of my knowledge. I do not claim to be an expert at all, so I'm always saying, if you're an expert, if you know what's going on more than I do, feel free to comment below, to link to something. Whatever. Actually, don't link to something because I think that'll put you in the spam filter, because every so often, not like every 3 months, I'll check the spam filter, and there's all these things that I'm pretty sure weren't spam, but were automatically picked up because they had a link or something. But yeah. Sanders points, actually, this is interesting. Sanders pointed out that lots of other CNN reporters and producers have press passes, but to many journalists and press defenders, that's not the issue. Echoing the views of many journalists, the Correspondents Association said the president should not be in the business of arbitrarily picking the men and women who cover him. Well, he doesn't do that. I mean, every president has the ability to do that. Every president has the ability to say who and who is not at the press conferences. But anyone can. I'm reporting on this right now. Anyone can report on what's happening. This stuff is all on camera. This stuff is put out by the White House on the White House YouTube channel. This stuff's put out by like 20 other sources. And this is like, you can report on it. It's just when it comes to actually having the opportunity to ask the president a question, you have to funnel that into a certain small number of people. Because we cannot say that every single citizen has the right to ask the president a question. If we did, nothing would get done, which you could argue is actually a good thing that nothing would get done. But that's the thing, you have to narrow it down. It is a privilege to be able to ask a question like this. And I get from a purely like, is this something that should have happened, a good thing that happened? I mean, I think it's a good thing. Now, if he starts saying, okay, CNN is banned and 20 other things are banned, and if it turns out by the 2020 elections that the people that he's giving White House press passes to are all right-wing, pro-Trump organizations, then sure, I will gladly complain about that. I will say, yeah, that's bad. But that's not what's happening here. This is something that CNN is completely blowing out of the water because obviously it's bad for them. It's something that they want, like they'll get press attention for. But here's something interesting: the ACLU, which I'm very disappointed in the ACLU because as much as like it's the American Civil Liberties Union, they say so many things. Like, I want to support civil liberties. I do support civil liberties. But then the ACLU always goes on the ideological ground of picking up cases and supporting people where there is no civil rights violation at all, like this. It is un-American and unlawful for the president to expel a reporter from the White House briefing room for doing his job. It shouldn't take a lawsuit from CNN to remind the president of the First Amendment. Again, this is not a First Amendment issue. And two, he wasn't fired. He wasn't expelled from the thing for doing his job. He was expelled from being disruptive. And that's the thing. It's the job of journalists to ask tough questions. But when you're disrupting, there's a part that when you're disrupting and stopping other people from asking their questions, then it becomes an issue. But this has already gone long enough. I'm trying not to repeat myself, and I think I've done that twice. But But that's it for here. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more. And thanks for watching.